Dang, I didn't even know this was about to bloom. Fantastic, what a beautiful plant. I'm out in my Florida Zone 9B food forest today. It's the middle of February. Doesn't look like there's gonna be any cold weather coming up. We had a nice rain last night, so I figured it's a good time to do a little maintenance on my trees. I'm gonna be looking at every tree in the food forest, taking notes and or doing a little maintenance. The first tree I'm gonna take a look at is a Pakistani Mulberry. Surrounded by these pigeon peas, which it doesn't really need anymore. It doesn't need the protection from the cold weather. So the first thing I'm going to do is harvest these pigeon peas. I've picked most of the pigeon peas, so I'm going to start doing a little chop and drop, clear this out so that the mulberry has some room to grow. As you can see, I did a pretty major chop and drop here. I really cut the pigeon pea to the ground because I don't need them here anymore. I'll come back sometime in the future, give this mulberry tree a good prune. The next tree we're looking at is what's called a red apricot. I don't have any species information on this. I bought it from a private grower. This is supposedly a low chill hour stone fruit. This tree has been froze to the ground and bounced back fairly well. Hurricane Ian didn't really touch it. It's going to need some pruning, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just do some chop and drop right around, give it some room. I will actually do just a little bit of pruning here, just to fix its shape. Looks good, has room to grow. The next tree we're looking at is this little raw sapote. I'll do a little bit of chop and drop on the stuff that's very close so it can get all the sun that it needs. Much better. Raw sapote up close. It's got a little freeze damage. It should lose its leaves in the wintertime anyway. This tree is a little jackfruit. It's kind of in a neglected area of the food forest. This area was also hit hard by Hurricane Ian. A lot of weeds coming up. I need to come back at some point and pull up all this Kogan grass. It's one of my goals this year, is to try to eradicate the Kogan grass. Since I'm here, I'll put down a little bit of compost. Can't hurt. This here is an ice cream bean that was bent over from Hurricane Ian. And I haven't done anything with it yet. I've been procrastinating. I'm not going to do everything that I need to do today. But I have a couple trees over there that this thing is shading out. Smothering, really. So I'll do a little bit of chop on some of the branches that are smothering out these other trees. This is a Grumichama that's doing fairly well, despite being smothered by that ice cream bean. I'm going to chop some of these branches off the ice cream bean, free this guy up a little bit. You can now see the Grumichama. It's a pretty good size. It's been in the ground maybe a year and a half, a year to a year and a half. This is all open now. Very awesome. And right here, I'll show you, we have a huge pile of ice cream bean branches that I'll mulch at a later date. Lots of branches. I brute forced it with this machete. I probably should have used a chainsaw to make cleaner cuts, but oh well. Chopping that ice cream bean back also freed up the Soursop. This poor thing was knocked over by Ian. See if I can get it to stand up a little bit. It lost its leaves because of wintertime, but it does have some more leaves coming on. There's quite a bit of dead stuff on here. I'll go ahead and chop this Mexican sunflower over here too, so it can get more sun. There we go, much better. It has room. You might not be able to notice, but there's a lychee tree right here. I'm gonna chop this Mexican sunflower. Lychee trees are supposedly very susceptible to high winds, but it wasn't really damaged in Hurricane Ian. Maybe they had some protection here, but it did have some leaf damage from the freeze in January. Overall though, it's looking pretty good. Now it can try to grow straight up instead of at an angle. I'll get some of these banana leaves too. Right here we have a Surinam Cherry. I think this was the first plant that I actually put in the ground in the food forest about 3 years ago. It has hundreds of flowers coming on right now. It's kind of all jacked up from Hurricane Ian. I'm probably going to do a little pruning here later. We actually have a plant spacing issue. Right next to that Surinam cherry is this Barbados cherry. The branches are literally touching right now. I'm probably going to move this maybe a little bit at a time. It looks like I can dig underground here a little bit and make 2 or 3 plants out of it. And maybe I'll do that, then leave it. It'll be 2 feet farther away. At least leave it for now. This does need some pruning too, but I'll do the majority of the pruning later. And here we have a lemon tree. It's all crowded out by this Mexican sunflower and the Biden's elbow. Just do a quick chop and drop here. That's better. Can get some sun now. Needs a good prune too, but I'll save this for later. This here is a Loquat tree, which has fruit on it for the first time. It's bent a little bit from Hurricane Ian. I've got a little bit of a spacing problem with the banana pit here, but this big banana is the last one that I'm going to allow to fruit. And then all the pups I'm going to dig up and put back there in my banana pit. And I want to move the banana pit that way, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 feet. So for now, I'm just going to cut some of these banana leaves down. That should be good to give it a little bit more sun. And at some point, I'll come back and straighten it out a little bit because it is still a little bit bent from Hurricane Ian. So in this wild mess, there's actually a Barbados cherry. See if I can find it. This is my favorite food forest chair. There it is. Wow. It actually goes way back here. It's got some velvet bean vines. I can smell mint. Must be stepping on some mint. Dang. All right, so this definitely needs some more maintenance. The growth is phenomenal because this one was half the size of that one over there last summer. I guess it likes being buried. Yep, I'll take note of this one. I can maybe make 2 or 3 trees out of this. This here is a Cocoplum, and it got all messed up from Hurricane Ian. I think this is Pyrus. I'm not really going to do anything with it. I'm going to let it correct itself. I've already had several good harvests off of this tree. It makes both the purple and the white Cocoplums. I prefer the white ones a little more. They're a little bit larger, and they're just, I think, maybe a little sweeter and creamier. So nothing to do here. This is a Jamun tree. Survived the hurricane and the freeze like nothing happened. I've got it planted here where it floods a little bit. This tree can handle it. I don't need to do anything here. I'm just going to let it go. This here is a Jaboticaba. It's also planted in the area where it floods because it can handle wet feet. It's really being overrun by this Kogan grass and some other plants here. I'm going to give it a quick chop and drop. I'll pull some of this Kogan grass out by the roots. This whole area is infested with Kogan grass. Eradicating the Kogan grass is on my list of goals this year. I'll probably never eradicate it, but do what I can. Jeez. There we go, that's much better. You can actually tell that there's a Jaboticaba tree here now. Spread your wings. Here's a nice starfruit. It hasn't been affected too much by the hurricane or by freezing. I would say it's been in the ground maybe 2 years. I'm hoping to get some fruit soon. I'll clear around it a little bit, just give it some room to grow on these lower branches. Gorgeous. This here is a sherbet berry, and believe it or not, it didn't lose all of its leaves this winter, and it's already blooming and has some fruit on there. I'm not going to do much here because I'm going to be relocating this tree later. This here is a blackberry jam fruit. There's not really anything to do in this spot. I did some chop and drop in a video about a month ago. So, grow. There's a cherry of the Rio Grande right here. It's kind of crowded by this pigeon pea that was giving it protection in the wintertime. I'll do a quick chop and drop just right around it. There we go. It has some room to grow now. This is a, I believe, Carrie mango. It's the first time it's blooming. A lot of nice panicles coming out here on the north side. They're starting to come out on the south side a little bit. On the south side, it's a little bit more mixed with leaves and blooms. Nothing to do here. I already chopped and dropped around here about a month ago when this started fruiting. This here is a pomegranate tree. We got 2 pomegranates off of it last year. It's been in the ground for about a year. And unfortunately, the pomegranates don't do very well in Florida. The fruit, anyway. They crack and break open before they're ripe because of the humidity and all of the rain. But it's a beautiful tree. I'll keep it anyway. This tree is a mountain soursop. It didn't lose its leaves at all after the freeze or because of the hurricane. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of new growth already. It's only February. I'll go ahead and just chop and drop around here a little bit. The rest of the trees are much smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my gimbal, get some close-ups of those trees. This is a Namdokmai mango. It's been in the ground about 9 months. Looks like we're going to get a flush soon. And down here, that might even be a bloom. It's a nice looking little mango. Nothing to do there. Just let it grow. Here we have a Kesar mango. It's a mango from India. It's supposedly spicy. This has also been in the ground for about 9 months. There are some little buds forming. Maybe it'll flush out here soon. This is a Jamaican cherry, Montinga, strawberry tree. It's been in the ground maybe 7 or 8 months. It did have a little damage from the freeze. Hurricane Ian didn't do too much to it. Looking forward to this growing this season. This is a Florida King Peach. Lost all of its leaves in September. It had only been in the ground for maybe 2 or 3 months at that point. It has bloomed 4 times. Got one right now. And for about a few weeks, it looked like it was trying to make a peach, but that didn't happen. I'm looking forward to this one growing this season. This is a sugar apple. Its leaves don't look so great. I think that's because it should lose its leaves in the wintertime, but it does have some new growth coming on. This has been in the ground for maybe 6 months. This is an Indian gooseberry. I'll look up the actual name. It's been in the ground for 9 months maybe. It's growing pretty well. It's had a lot of protection. I'll leave that protection there for a little longer before I chop and drop around it. This is a custard apple. Lost its leaves because of the winter. It's got some growth coming on. This one has been in the ground for maybe 9 months. Wow, I did not notice this. This is a chef salad tree. Can't remember the exact name. It's a relative of hibiscus. It has, I believe, edible flowers and leaves. But dang, I didn't even know this was about to bloom. Fantastic, what a beautiful plant. Wow. This is also a chef salad tree. This one got bent and lost all of its leaves after Hurricane Ian, but it's coming on strong now. Let's see what does it say. South Sea Salad Tree, manihot. Here we have a peanut butter fruit tree. It's been in the ground for 9 months or so. Planted a lot of trees about 9 months ago. Not much to do here. Just looking forward to that growing. And over here, I believe this is a dwarf mulberry. It's been a slow grower, I think because I started it out using store-bought dyed mulch and it just didn't like it. It's looking good now though. I'll probably clear it out here a little bit. Do some chop and drop. Give it some breathing room. Not today though. Here's another little loquat. It's been in the ground for about a year, but it was crushed by oak and pine branches after Hurricane Ian. It's doing all right now though. This is another Jamaican cherry or strawberry tree. This poor thing was cut back to the ground by some animal and it started growing back and then it froze and it started growing back and then it flooded from Tropical Storm Elsa and then it started growing back and then Hurricane Ian messed it up a little bit and now it's growing back again. So let's see what happens. This is a little starfruit survivor tree. It started from seed. It's been mowed down, chewed to the ground, destroyed multiple times, but it keeps coming back. I'll move this guy to a better spot here soon, maybe in the rainy season. All right, I think that's it. I think that's all my trees. I hope you liked the video. I'll keep you updated on the progress of the trees throughout the year. I'm really looking forward to this year. I think it's going to be a good year. I'm going to get some good harvests and some good growth. So like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.